Here's something else. More biodiversity is good because it creates a more stable and resilient ecosystem, which means it can handle more change, is what it means by resilient. So for instance, if we go into a rainforest and everybody in the world wants this bird as a pet, and we take this bird out, but everything else stays, it's not going to have a huge impact on this rainforest because there's a huge amount of biodiversity left. But if we start removing keystone species like the trees themselves, then the biodiversity is going to have big problems. Or if we, remove other important organisms, or if we remove too many and reduce and have less biodiversity, it's going to become less stable and have more problems, and there's going to be more organisms dying and struggling to survive. So the less we mess with the biodiversity found in our ecosystems, the more healthy they're going to be. All right, the next level up is a biome, which you guys did some research on, and I have yet to look at those things because I've been prepping a whole bunch of other stuff, but I am going to start grading those biome stuff this week. So biomes are a group of ecosystems that have the same climate, which generally is rainfall and temperature on average, and similar communities of life. And so this is kind of like where I grew up, which is in like Northern California. It looks a lot like this where I grew up, which is like south of Oakland, which, as you guys know, or some of you have figured out, why I have stuff in my classroom about Oakland sports teams like the Oakland A's and the Oakland Raiders, who are now in Las Vegas, but whatever to that. They just moved. So anyway, and then here we have like polar or boreal. Polar is extra ice. Boreal has trees and stuff. And then deserts. And Calabasas, to me, is kind of in the middle of these two. Some people think it's kind of like a desert. It's really not. So let's look at this. This shows some of the major biomes. You were supposed to look at this map for some of your work this week. And Calabasas falls under a temperate woodland and shrubland. And we see that in a few places. We see it right here on the bottom of Africa. Also up here a lot in the Mediterranean, actually. There's a little bit here on this coast in South America. And then here we see where we are right there. So you can see the brown. Also down here in Australia. And actually it's more specific. It's called chaparral, which I did address in some of the assignments that I gave out. And in my honors class, they had to actually research chaparral. So take a look at this. It's in the textbook if you have the CP book, and if you're in the honors class, take a look and you can see some of the different biomes around the world. And the next level up is the biosphere, which is the Earth itself and all its life forms. And this picture shows where we have more vegetation on the planet, as well as more chlorophyll, which basically means more algae, which is really good because, as I said before, the algae is going to create oxygen as well as other nutrients. So it looks like down here in, what is this, the South Pacific, we have a lot of great chlorophyll going on and production by the algae. So I use this picture to kind of illustrate, as you look around the Earth, that the Earth is kind of like an island in space, and as I mentioned before, it is the only place that we have any proof that there is life, and the universe is unbelievably huge. And so this would be, if we zoomed back from the Earth, I try to have people imagine that it's like an island in space, and this island is the only place that can sustain life and where life exists. And so I make an analogy that if the Earth was covered in ocean and there was just one island on the ocean that life could exist, it would be the most precious thing on the planet. Everybody would care for it and protect it. But because the Earth is so big, compared to us, we lose perspective on that and how precious it is. But when we zoom back and we start to realize how big the universe is and how unique the Earth is, it can help us have perspective on how important this island in space is, where life can flourish and exist as long as it's not damaged or interfered with too much. So it's important that we take care of it. And actually, I'm going to jump back. I just remembered a story I forgot to tell, so I'm going to jump back real quick to this. Some of you have directly experienced invasive species. I just remembered when I was talking about taking care of the Earth there, that Any of you that have gone to another country or even Hawaii where they don't let you bring fruit back unless you bought it like at the airport, that is because of invasive species. It's trying to keep what are called fruit flies from coming into California or into the United States, because those fruit flies can damage our crops. And United States and California create a huge amount of food for the rest of the world. And so that's why, if you've ever not been able to bring fruit or something back from another country or from Hawaii, it was literally an invasive species issue. So now you know. Okay, and when I was a kid, where I grew up, there was actually traps for the fruit flies, and they were doing studies of them and stuff. So when I was, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 10 years old. So let's see, we were almost done. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I usually play a video in class. I'll see if I can find it online about the biodomes. And so, and just to kind of make a point about how precious the Earth is, like I was talking about. So they created some biodomes, which are really neat. And inside the biodomes are a bunch of ecosystems that are supposed to be self-sustaining and cycle nutrients. And so they seal the whole thing off, and they try to have it function and have everything survive. And scientists from all around the world were involved. A lot of money was put into it. Super cool project, but they fail. And here we see this one, the plants have died, and they're kind of dismantling it and stuff. And so the point that I make here, as far as back to this picture, is that some people are like, when they talk about protecting the Earth, they say, well, we'll just find somewhere else to go if we keep damaging the Earth's ecosystems and biomes and life support systems. And some people go, oh, we'll go live on Mars, and these kind of science fiction concepts. And as of now, we are unable to create functioning, sealed-off biodomes on the Earth using scientists and resources from all around the world, because what happens is the oxygen levels and some of the nutrients they need start to run out, and they have to open everything back up. So they can't seal it off. So if we had to put something like this on Mars, people wouldn't be able to survive for very long in it. And I think that's important to understand, because some people do get that illusion that we're going to go somewhere else and live in things like this if we damage our own planet. And we need to care about and love our own planet and our own ecosystems and our biomes and our communities of life and our populations of life and species, so that we can have a healthy, functional planet for future generations that we can share with all these amazing life forms that have evolved with us and share the Earth with us. So I'm going to finish with that and just take a look at this picture. Really neat island. I'm sure you can see the shape and get the message that I'm trying to send. All right, hope you guys learned a lot from that. I'm going to make another video for the interdependence topic, but that would be it for 5-1 and 5-2. Remember, hope you didn't turn it off yet. I've said it a few times in email. Take care of yourselves. Do the social distancing. Help out at home. And absolutely be good role models for your younger brothers and sisters, as well as your younger cousins, and show them that you're helpful and respectful during this complicated time, because they're going to look up to you and see how you're handling it to learn how they should handle it. So I really want to encourage you guys to be good role models for them and help out as much as you can to help. All right, guys. See ya.